Hi everyone, long time since I've done a video, so just a little one might be of interest to someone. This is one of these kind of Euro cylinder style locks, which I've never known one to be faulty in the past. What we had last week was the door was locked. You could put your key in, you got like about a quarter of a turn, and then it just jammed. We couldn't get it unlocked, so end of the day I managed to keep banging the door and shaking things about, and eventually with a little bit of a thud it released. Well, this was actually turning, so that seems to indicate to me that that's probably okay, and maybe it's the actual mechanism itself. I've never actually took one of these locks out, so I thought I'd whip it out today and have a little look if there's anything broke on the actual main locking mechanism itself. So as most people probably know these days, to take these Euro cylinder style locks out, you've got a screw in the middle that's actually going through the cylinder. So if you ever need to replace one of these locks, just a case of take that big screw out. So that's actually kind of going across the door and into the cylinder. To remove these, you normally have to turn the key a bit. The bar inside is intentionally a little bit offset so it won't pull out the door, so no one could just change the lock. You actually need the key to get the cylinder out, because you have to turn the key a little bit, so that's key straight now, that won't come out. So you need to just turn a little bit, could be either left or right, and then you'll feel it release. So you see this bit in the centre. Let's sit you down a minute. See if we can get a better look at how this works. Yep. So basically, you turn the key, that centre piece will spin round, and that's obviously what hits the locking mechanism inside. So when it's in the door, when your key's in the closed position, the lock is intentionally, you see that just sticking out a little bit there, so that would prevent you, or maybe if you put a lot of force you could do it, but basically it prevents you taking it out if you haven't got the key. So you'd put the key in, just turn it a fraction till you can get that in the centre so it's not snagging on nothing, and then it pulls out. There's the hole that screw goes through. So this feels okay. I say it was turning, so I can't see that anything was wrong with that, because we were getting a quarter of a turn on it. So I reckon there must be an issue with the actual lock. I had to take these out, screw on the top that I've already took out, and another one at the bottom. I've undone, save a bit of time. So we pull this whole lock out, and so I've never actually looked at one of these, so I'll be honest, I don't exactly know how they work. So that is obviously in there. Funny thing is, it just like feels, I don't actually have to jump. It's because I'm moving the lock about a little bit. Yeah. So it actually feels okay now, so I don't know whether something jammed inside. That's working fine now. So, bit of a strange one. I just got to position the key just right to be able to remove it. There we go. Coming out the wrong side, but so clearly there's a thing in there that catches and pushes. I might open it just out of curiosity to see exactly how they work, but obviously just inside there there's obviously a bar or something there that it's catching and pulling that bolt back and forth. So I'm not sure what caused it to jam, because it feels absolutely fine now, but I might unscrew it and have a little look inside. Alright, I've not opened her up in the end, I was going to, but it's actually normally unlocks most of these styles of locks, and the old latch locks, they're all normally just a normal Phillips head to open them up, but it's actually small Allen keys on it. So I've only nipped into work to do a couple of little things to make my life easier on Monday morning, so I'm not going to mess about going hunting out Allen keys and stuff to do it. It all feels fine at the moment. There's nothing shaking about inside, nothing's come loose, and it seems to be working fine. So just kind of put it down to a fluke incident. It just jammed up for some reason, but it seems fine now, so we'll put it back together. So say top and the very bottom screw is what's holding the actual whole lock in, and then the one just above the latch is the one that holds the cylinder in. So say it's just a case of positioning your lock, so get that little centre piece so it's sitting in the middle. Just a bit of a gentle wiggle and get the thing back in the door. And to get now, say you're in at the right depth to be able to get the screw in, is actually do it till you can actually operate the lock. It's going to go a little bit further. Bit easier with two hands, you can kind of hold it still as you're turning. You wiggle it, there you go. You move it about to the point you can turn the key, you know the lock's sitting in the right position then, so turn it till the bolt comes out. These particular ones are actually double locking. Now if you have at the point where that bolt's come out and you don't move that again, you know you're in the right position then to get this retaining bolt for the lock-in. A bit of a wiggle. Just move it about a bit while I'm turning it. Sometimes they go straight in, other times they're a little bit fiddly. But this time it's deciding it'll be a little bit fiddly. And the other time you go straight in there, no problem. But when you're filming, it never does. Oh, that's got it. So, just be gentle. Always things like this, always do hand tight, because loads of people will just pick up the drill, stick the screw in, and then just wang it in. And if you're not in properly, you will cross thread it. I've got one that's on an odd lock for the rest of the school. I don't know, somehow it ended up on a different key. We ended up with about 3 different contractors doing these new fire doors because we weren't happy with them. And the one we want to change, because it's on an odd lock, can't get that screw out because some numpties obviously used an impact driver to do a stupid little screw like that up and rounded it off. So anything like that, anything really you're screwing in, you should always get 2 or 3 turns with your fingers, then you know that you haven't cross-threaded it, because anything you cross-thread, you'll be lucky if you get half a turn on it before it stops. But if you just wang it in with a drill, you will knacker it. So, very straightforward to take them out. We'll see how we get on next week if it jams up again. But I'm going to put it down to just a fluke incident, and hopefully it'll be okay. Well, hopefully this was of a little bit of interest. The other thing to know about these locks, if you're ever buying one, you are actually supposed to measure the lock the way you want it, especially on outside doors, because you know the way burglars sometimes I'd like to pull that off, and then I've got a fair bit out, and they'll have a bar or something pretty well shaped like that, put it on, and they can snap them off. So you want to, for safety, is to get that as flush to these panels. You see how far that one sticks out on that side, and nowhere near as much on that side. But if you measure them right, you'd probably be able to get them sitting perfectly flush or as close as. And most of them are normally marked outer. I think one says outer and one says inner, something like that, along them lines. And the outer bit is, if it was an external door, the outer bit you should have pointing out. Whether that's a bit stronger or something, I'm not sure. But if you buy the high quality locks, then you can't actually do that snapping thing. I think it still breaks off, but they can't then stick a screwdriver in and turn it. So you pay a bit more for them, maybe about double the price. But if it's an external door, then obviously, which it would be for most people in a house, then it's worth paying that extra little bit. So that that's the way it works. I think you snap that off on the cheaper ones, then I think you can just stick a screwdriver in there and they just spin it, and that'll open your lock up. So if you are buying a new one for your outer door, probably worth spending that extra £20-25 to get a high security one. Right, that's it from me. Catch you later.